What if I told you that some of the most powerful creatures in Magic can hit the battlefield for just 1 black mana? That some decks don't even care about casting creatures because they can cheat them into play from the graveyard instead. Today, we're breaking down the top 10 Black Reanimation Spells, the spells that bring creatures back from the dead. For over 20 years, I've played Magic the Gathering, the greatest game ever made. Now, I'm counting down its most powerful, iconic, and surprising cards. My name is Weston, and this is MTG Top 10. Many of the best reanimation spells were printed decades ago, but this one was printed recently, in 2024. Kicking off our list is Metamorphosis Fanatic. For 2 black and 4 generic mana, you get a 4/4 lifelinking creature that says, when this creature enters, return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it. It also has Miracle for 1 and a black, which says you can cast this card for its miracle cost when you draw it, if it's the first card you drew this turn. Set this up to cast it for its miracle cost with Brainstorm, Sensei's Divining Top, or my personal favorite, Vampiric Tutor. Coming in at number 9 is a classic Commander staple, Living Death. This card is great because it's both a board wipe and a mass reanimation spell rolled into one. For 2 black and 3 generic, you get a sorcery that reads, each player exiles all creature cards from their graveyard, then sacrifices all creatures they control, then puts all cards they exiled this way onto the battlefield. In decks that fill their graveyard fast, like Muldrotha, Marin, or any self-mill strategy, this is basically a 1-card win condition. It's slow at 5 mana, but when it resolves, it swings the game hard in your favor. At number 8, we have Victimize, one of the most efficient reanimation spells in Commander. For 1 black and 2 generic, you get a sorcery that reads, choose 2 target creature cards in your graveyard. Sacrifice a creature. If you do, return the chosen cards to the battlefield tapped. It's cheap, it's powerful, and it's just dirty when you're running things like Bloodghast, Nether Trader, or any other creature that loves dying. If you play aristocrats or graveyard decks, this card is a lot of value. At number 7 is Shallow Grave. Unlike traditional reanimator spells, this one plays more like a sneak attack from the graveyard. For 1 black and 1 generic, you get an instant that reads, return the top creature card of your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature gains haste until end of turn. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. This card is best for reanimating Eldrazi creatures such as Emrakul because you can discard Emrakul, and with the shuffle ability on the stack, you can cast Shallow Grave. At number 6, we have Goryo's Vengeance, which is one of the scariest cards in Modern. It's like a Shallow Grave, but for legendary creatures, and it has Splice into Arcane, which is relevant, well, almost never. For 1 black and 1 generic, you get an instant that reads, return target legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature gains haste, exile it at the beginning of the next end step. Again, it has Splice into Arcane for 1 black and 2 generic as well. This is the backbone of decks that aim to cheat Griselbrand or Emrakul into play for 1 turn and win on the spot. The instant speed is what makes it so powerful. You can even cast it on your opponent's end step, and you won't have to sacrifice it until your next end step. Now we're getting to the heavy hitters. Recurring Nightmare isn't just a reanimation spell, it's an engine. Unlike one-shot reanimation spells, this lets you loop creatures in and out of the battlefield every turn. For 1 black and 2 generic, you get an enchantment that reads, sacrifice a creature, return this enchantment to its owner's hand, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. Sacrifice a creature, return back something huge, and then replay Recurring Nightmare to do it all over again. If you've ever seen this card in action, you know it can completely dominate games, which is why it's banned in Commander. Too much value, too much power, and too much fun. The art is also one of my favorites. At number 4, we have Necromancy, a card that's part reanimation spell and part surprise trick. For 1 black and 2 generic, you get an enchantment that reads, you may cast the spell as though it had flash. If you cast it anytime a sorcery couldn't have been cast, the controller of the permanent sacrifices it at the beginning of the next cleanup step. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control and attach this enchantment to it. When this enchantment leaves the battlefield, that creature's controller sacrifices it. That means you can use it defensively to grab a blocker, offensively to bring back an attacker, or just normally as a solid reanimation spell. The flexibility is why it's one of the best black reanimation spells ever printed. Third place goes to a weird but powerful one, Dance of the Dead. a classic reanimation spell with a bit of a catch. For 1 black and 1 generic, you get an enchantment aura that reads, enchant creature card in a graveyard. When this aura enters, if it's on the battlefield, it loses enchant creature card in a graveyard and gains enchant creature put onto the battlefield with this aura. Put enchanted creature card onto the battlefield tapped under your control and attach this aura to it. When this aura leaves the battlefield, that creature's controller sacrifices it. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and does not untap during its controller's untap step. At the beginning of the upkeep of the enchanted creature's controller, that player may play 1 and a black. If the player does, untap the creature. If you're playing a combo-heavy strategy, especially one that uses World Gorger Dragon, this is actually a key piece of an infinite mana engine. And in decks that need just 1 big creature to stick, the untap cost is a small price to pay for such a cheap and efficient effect. It's powerful, it's versatile, and it's been reviving game-winning creatures since 1994. Coming in at number 2 is a staple of every format where reanimation is played, Animate Dead. For 1 black and 1 generic, you get an enchantment aura that reads, enchant creature card in a graveyard. Return enchanted creature card to the battlefield under your control and attach this aura to it. When this aura leaves the battlefield, that creature's controller sacrifices it. Enchanted creature gets -1/-0. This card is an auto-include in every reanimation deck, and I love playing it alongside Loris. It's only number 2 because, well, number 1 is even better. Before we get to number 1, let's give some love to a few other amazing reanimation spells that just missed the cut. Our first honorable mention is Exhume. For 1 black and 1 generic, you get a sorcery that reads, each player puts a creature card from their graveyard onto the battlefield. Simple, it's a classic, and can still be very powerful. But the risk of your opponents getting value is a bit too steep to make the top 10. Our second honorable mention goes to Dread Return. For 2 black and 2 generic, you get a sorcery that reads, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It also has flashback if you sacrifice 3 creatures. This card is great in combo decks because of the free flashback, and if you love Dredge, you love this card. And our final honorable mention is Rise of the Dark Realms. For 2 black and 7 generic, you get a sorcery that reads, put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. Few spells can single-handedly flip a game like this one can. And finally, at number 1, the best black reanimation spell ever printed, Reanimate. For a single black mana, you get a sorcery that reads, put target creature card from any graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to its mana value. This is the gold standard of reanimation spells. It's efficient, powerful, and used in every format where it's legal. There's no better way to cheat a big creature into play, and that's why it's number 1. I've talked about some of the best, but here's a question for you. What is your personal favorite reanimation card? Drop it in the comments. And before you leave, please like and subscribe. See you next week.